This is definitely one of my favorite hearing aid apps, mainly because it's so simple to use. Hey guys, Cliff Olson, Doctor of Audiology and founder of Applied Hearing Solutions in Phoenix, Arizona, and in this video, I'm taking you through a detailed tutorial of the Oticon Companion App. Oticon has been using an app for their hearing aids ever since the release of their Oticon Open hearing aid back in 2016. Their original app was called Oticon On, but they ended up getting rid of that app and replaced it with the Oticon Companion App. Despite the name change of the app, it's very similar to the previous version, but they have simplified it a little bit more and added a few new features. The companion app is available on Android devices as well as Apple devices and is rated pretty high inside of the Apple App Store and Google Play Store between 4.2 and 4.6, which is pretty good for a hearing aid app. While the app functions very similarly between an Apple device and Android device, there are a few key differences that I want to make you aware of inside of this video as well. Meaning that depending on which type of phone you have, you may want to skip ahead to different sections of this video that I will have timestamped in the description. But before I get into this tutorial, do me a huge favor and click the like button. It really helps out the channel. And if you are not yet subscribed to the channel with notifications turned on, go ahead and do that as well. It is greatly appreciated. And let me know down in the comments section if you're already using the Oticon Companion app and what you think about it. All right, let's go ahead and get started with this process using an Android phone like my Samsung Galaxy S25. All right, the first thing that we need to do here is download the app. So we need to go into the Google Play Store and type in Oticon and click on Install next to Oticon Companion. Once we have Oticon Companion installed, we need to go ahead and click on Open. And now before we start the pairing process, it's a good idea to put your hearing aids into the charger or open the battery doors of your hearing aids to turn them off. Then we can go ahead and click on Pair Now and agree to all of the permissions that it wants you to while you're using the app. Allow Bluetooth, and we understand that we need to have enough battery to do the pairing. I understand. And now we can take the hearing aids out of the charger or close the battery doors to turn the hearing aids back on, because for the next few minutes they will be in pairing mode. Then we can go ahead and click on Next Step. It is now searching for my hearing aids, and after a few seconds here, it's going to detect them and it's going to ask me to pair them. And there we go, those are my hearing aids. So I will click on Yes, and I will click on Pair, and you can see that it's pulling all of the data from the hearing aids into the app and into the phone to establish the full connection with the phone. You do not have to go into the settings of the phone to do any extra connections there. And we will go ahead and click on Continue. And there you go, it's as simple as that. We are now inside of the app, and I'm going to go ahead and do a screen capture for all of this as I walk you through it, but I'm going to go ahead and take you through it right now. So the first thing to pay attention to is the menu along the bottom here. So we have the Sound tab, which is more of your remote control screen. We have the Hearing Aid tab that gives you some other information, and then the More tab that allows you to enable certain features as well. So for right now, we're going to start with the main tab, which is the Sound tab. At the very top, you can see that we are in our general program, and we have a couple of caret menu options here. So there's actually the drop-down option here where we can see all of the different programs that we have access to, and these are all the programs that your hearing care professional would program inside of your hearing aids for you and potentially adjust them in different ways for different situations. You will also see your accessories inside of here if you have an accessory like a TV adapter, an EduMic, or remote mic, and you can actually tap onto any one of these programs that you want to inside of this menu, and it will go ahead and enable it for you. Now that you know how to adjust it there, you can also adjust it by hitting the arrows on the left and right hand side. So you can go forward and back between all of those different programs if you find that to be easier. So when you're in a streaming accessory like a Connect clip, for instance, you have different adjustments for streaming settings and surrounding settings. So you can actually adjust your microphone volume on your hearing aids different than what you can adjust the streaming volume coming in from the accessory. So that's why you get two different options here on this screen, whereas you do not get it inside of your general screen. So now that you know how to adjust the different programs, let me go and show you how to adjust the volume and different things you can do here. So just like you saw me show you a second earlier, you have a way to increase the volume and decrease the volume by either clicking on the plus and minus, or you can just use your finger to drag up and down on that. That seems to be pretty easy. 0 is where your hearing care professional has you program that inside of their software. And then the range that you get is also set up by your hearing care professional. So I have this set up to be able to allow me to go +4 or -8 and down to mute. but I'm going to go ahead and put it back to 0. Now, you can either put it into mute by dragging all the way down to the bottom, or you can actually go and click the mute button down here in the bottom left-hand corner of the screen and tap it again if you want to bring the volume back up, and I'm going to put it back to 0. You can also split left and right ears, so you have this button right here where you split the ears out. I tend to recommend that people keep their ears connected to where when you adjust one of them, it adjusts both of them. But right now, if you want to split them out and adjust one ear louder than the other, you can go ahead and do that. Right below the volume option here is an equalizer. Now, this is for your sound equalizer for your environmental sounds. So if you want to have, less low frequency, more mids, and less treble, you can go ahead and adjust that inside of here. Now, it's important to understand that these adjustments will stay once you've made them until you hit restore default. So even if I exit out of this, I switch over to the speech and noise program, you can see here if I click the equalizer, that's flat across the screen here. But now if I go back to the general program, you can see that that's lit up, meaning that I've made some adjustments inside of it. If I tap on it again, it holds those same adjustments, and that's true whether or not you have your hearing aids in your ears or whether you put them in the charger and pull them back out of the charger the next day. That is going to hold inside of the app here. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Restore Default here, because that's at my prescription. And then I'm going to go ahead and hit the X there. Now we have the speech booster button down here. So speech booster basically boosts the speech coming from in front of you and suppresses sounds coming from behind you and next to you. I haven't had a whole lot of patients say that they've noticed a lot of benefit from this particular speech booster feature, but if you want to try it out, try it out. And when you're doing it, make sure that you click on the do not show this screen again, otherwise it makes you double toggle every single time you want to use speech booster. So if I click on that now, I can either have it on, turn it off, turn it back on just by tapping the button without having to toggle it back on. And then you also have a streaming equalizer inside of here as well. Again, this would be sound coming from the phone into your hearing aids, whether you're listening to a podcast, music, what have you, that adjusts those settings there. Now, these settings also will hold inside of there until you hit on Restore Default. Your hearing care professional, again, can adjust some of the equalizer settings for you for how much bass, mids, and treble you're getting. Also, the amount of sound that you're getting from around you while you're streaming versus getting from the stream itself. So just make sure that you ask them to set that up for you initially with what your preferences are, and then you can customize it further inside of the app. That is pretty much all you have inside of the sound screen, which I actually really like. I do not like when apps have a lot of complex ways to manipulate and save new programs and all of that. That can be very confusing for a lot of hearing aid users. But if you're someone who's overly technical and you want to be able to manipulate little things and save programs, then this is not the best app for you. So let's go ahead and go from the sound tab over to the hearing aid tab here at the bottom. And you can see that we have a percentage of battery life that's remaining inside of the hearing aids, and you can also see the amount of time remaining in hours. So it's saying that my left hearing aid has 22 hours of battery life remaining and my right hearing aid has 23 hours of battery life remaining. If you happen to lose one of your or both of your hearing aids, you can click on the Find My Hearing Aids feature, which is really cool because it tells you the last known location of your hearing aids, and it even gives you the address that you left your hearing aids. And it will tell you if you're still now connected with the devices, so they're somewhere around you and in connection with your phone, or if it was last seen like yesterday. And then it can even tell you if you're very near, which we are clearly very near to the hearing aids, or if you're really far away from the hearing aids. So really nice feature there. I like how Oticon does their Find My Hearing Aid feature. Then if we scroll down a little bit further, you can see that we have a hearing aid updates option here inside the app. Now you can get some updates to the app and to the hearing aids through this particular part of the app, but it's very important to understand that a lot of the firmware updates that you would get with these hearing aids would be something that you would need to go into your hearing care professional to get, because you have to be in their office to do that firmware update. You cannot do all of the updates remotely. So let's go ahead and hit the back button there. We're going to go down to hearing aid settings. There's a lot of different settings here. You can set up your battery notification settings for when you actually want it to warn you that your batteries are low. I tend to have it be with the last 10% of battery battery life, mainly because you get a lot of battery life out of these hearing aids, and chances are you'll never even hear the low battery warning before you want to get your hearing aids back in the charger. With that being said, you can back out of there, and we can also have the hearing aid details pop up here. It tells you what make and model of hearing aids you have, and what your serial numbers are on your devices and what your firmware is on your devices. You can also go and toggle on or off the double tap feature to answer phone calls coming in on the hearing aids. Some people like it, some people don't. You can have the remember volume settings. So this would be similar to the equalizer settings. If you, let's say, make a volume adjustment in your general program, bring it down to -2, and then you switch to a different program and come back to your general program, it will remember that you wanted it at -2. Some people like it to reset back to 0 every single time they get out and come back in. So if that's what you want to have happen, make sure that you do not have this remember volume setting toggled. If you want it to remember your volume, make sure that you toggle that on. And then you also have the keep connection option down here at the bottom as well. Keep connection means that even if you close out the app and you want to reopen it, it doesn't take time spinning the wheel to find your hearing aids and reconnect with them. It will be automatically connected for you. Now, to be fair, with my Samsung Galaxy S25, it connects almost instantaneously, even if you do not have that on. That feature is more reserved for older phones that you don't want to deplete the battery life of your phone too quickly by staying connected to your app all of the time. You can also go down here to pair new hearing aids. So let's say that I upgraded my hearing aids and I wanted to unpair the current devices connected to the app, and I wanted to pair my new devices. You could go here and unpair your current devices and then repair your new devices, which is a nice feature as well. So that is pretty much everything that you can do inside of the hearing aid tab inside of the app. Let's go ahead and go to the More tab. So under the More tab, you have the hearing fitness option here. Now, this is much more simplified than what Oticon used to have with the Oticon On app. Honestly, with the Oticon On app, it was very confusing for a lot of people, but this basically lets you track how many hours you're wearing your hearing aids and set goals to hit the amount of time that you want to be wearing your devices. So let's say that your hearing care professional is like, hey, I want you to make sure that you're wearing your hearing aids for at least 8 hours a day. That way we have optimal auditory adaptation with your hearing aid, shifting the processing from your frontal cortex back into your auditory cortex, and decreases your risk of cognitive decline as time goes on. If you want to set 8 hours as that minimum, that's great. You might want to increase that over time to 10 hours, 12 hours. I mean, most hearing aid users end up wearing their hearing aids for like 13 to 14 hours a day, but depending on whatever your goals are, make sure that you set the goal accordingly. And then when you confirm the goal, it actually tells you how much time you've been wearing your hearing aids. So as of me recording this video here today, I've worn the Oticon Intent hearing aids for 2 hours and 17 minutes of an 8-hour goal, which means that I've only worn them for 30% of my total goal time there. We also have remote care. Now, I'm not going to set this up right now, but there's something that's very important to understand with the remote care side of the app here. You have to create an account to do this with Oticon, and you have to use the same exact email that you have set up with your hearing care professional inside of their office, which is why I recommend that you have your hearing care professional help you set this up to make sure that you are using the same email. If you use a different email to set up the Oticon account inside of the app, you'll never be able to have a remote care session with them because they're using a different email for you. So you basically go in here, you set up the account using your existing email that your hearing care professional is using for you, and then I also recommend that when you set up the password, you send that password off to your hearing care professional. So if you ever lose it or you get a new phone and it's not saved, whatever the case may be, you don't waste an entire remote care session trying to reset your password. You just ask your hearing care professional for it, they tell you what it is, you log in, you're ready to go. Remote care option is really nice for Oticon. Not the most seamless that I've seen with other hearing aid manufacturers, but it works pretty good. So the next thing that we have here is help and support. If you need some troubleshooting tips, those are inside of the app. You can contact customer service for the app to help you out if you're having issues with it. And then you also have your instruction manual that you can get directly in the app here as well. Then you have your profile. So this right here allows you to select whether or not you want them to have your anonymous data to make improvements on the app. You can select whether or not you want them to be able to see your serial numbers and process them. You can also get important updates or news, things of that nature. You also have the choose app appearance. Now, I tend to like the dark modes on my apps, but you can switch it from dark mode to light mode if you prefer light mode. I just think that that's a little too harsh on the eyes, but if you need it to see better, by all means, do whatever you have a preference for. I'm going to go ahead and switch it back to the same as my phone, just prefer the dark myself. And And then you can also create an account here as well if you did not already set up one for remote care. And that's pretty much it. That is all that you can do inside of the Oticon Companion app when it comes to an Android device. Now, if you have an Android device like my Galaxy S25 that has LE audio capabilities with Auracast, you want to make sure that you go in and you activate LE audio. So the way that you actually do that is you go back to your settings of your phone, you're going to click on connections, you're going to click on Bluetooth, you're going to see that I am connected with my Oticon hearing aids for calls and other streaming audio, so I didn't have to connect that separately, it did it through the app. But we have the settings wheel off to the side here where you can see that we have LE audio as an option. LE audio will give you significantly better streaming sound quality with much less battery drain, and it will make it possible to gain access to an Auracast broadcast audio signal for a public venue whenever that becomes available. So I definitely recommend that you switch over into LE audio. A lot of Samsung devices have those. Apple devices, as of this recording, do not have access to LE audio. Hopefully at some point in the future, they're going to end up releasing their phones that have LE audio. But as of right now, as of this recording, like I said, they do not have it. Speaking of Apple devices, I need to go ahead and show you how to pair the Oticon hearing aids up with an Apple device and get connected to the Oticon Companion app, because it is different than when you're trying to connect with an Android device. All right, so when it comes to pairing your Oticon hearing aids up to an iPhone to use the Companion app, you have to actually pair the hearing aids with the phone first, then you have to pair them with the app. So it's like a two-step approach to this. So first things first, I'm going to put the hearing aids back into the charger here. That will turn them off. And so if you have disposable battery hearing aids, you need to make sure that you open the battery doors to turn them off. Then you can go ahead and turn them right back on if you want to, take them back out of the charger. Go into the settings of the phone. You're going to scroll down to accessibility. Then you're going to scroll down to hearing devices. Once you're in the hearing devices section, it's going to be searching for the actual hearing aids themselves. So you can see here that we have both the right and the left Oticon Intent hearing aids. You have to make sure that you wait for both of them to show up before you start pairing. We're then going to go ahead and tap on those, and then it's going to ask us permission to pair. We're going to click on pair 2 times, and there we go. We are now connected with both of these hearing aids. So we're not done yet though. We need to close out of the settings here, and we're going to go into our app store. Once we're in our app store, we're going to go ahead and go to search for Oticon, and you can see the Oticon Companion app right here. We're going to go ahead and download that. Once it is downloaded, we can go ahead and open, and again, it's going to ask for a lot of different permissions. I recommend that you just allow all of these permissions here, and then we're going to go into pair now. So now it is connecting with those hearing aids that we had already paired with the phone. It's pulling all of the data into the app. Now we have them connected with the app. We can go ahead and click on continue. And there you go. We are now inside of the app. So you may notice that a lot of what you can do inside of here is exactly the same as what you could do, what I showed you already through an Android device. So I'm not going to run through all of this all over again for you. You can see that you have all the same program options up here at the top. You have the same volume. You have the same menu items along the bottom. Couple of additions though. You might notice that there is a little triple dot here on the bottom right-hand corner. That's because you get a few extra options with an iPhone that you do not get with an Android device. So you still have all of the same stuff that you had with the Android. So mute the surroundings, unmerge the sliders to do left and right ear independently. You have your sound equalizer, you have your speech booster, you have your streaming equalizer, and you have a remote microphone option here. This is for live listen mode. You can actually toggle on and toggle off the live listen mode, so you can turn your iPhone microphone into essentially a remote microphone where you can set it closer to someone, pick up their audio, send it directly into your hearing aids. We actually have a video on how to use this that Dr. Rachel Cook recorded that I'll link in the description for you, basically turning your iPhone into a spy device. Now the other cool feature that you can get with an iPhone that you cannot get with an Android device is that the Oticon hearing aids are compatible with an Apple Watch. So you can actually use your Apple Watch to adjust some of these different settings here. So you can see on the main screen of the watch, we're in Program 1. If we tap on Program 1, it brings up all of the different program options that we had inside of the app already, so you can toggle those on or switch into whichever one that you want to, and it even tells you the name of it in the top right-hand corner of the watch. Now, I'm going to go ahead and go back to our general program, P1. You can also see here that you have the plus and the minus to adjust the volume, but you can also use the crown on the side to adjust the volume if you want to as well. And you also have a mute button that you can tap over here on the side to mute and unmute the hearing aids themselves. If we swipe to the right, we can see that we have our percentages of battery life, which is a nice thing to be able to see right on your wrist without having to break out your phone. And if you swipe into the other direction, you can see that you can toggle on that speech booster here as well. Now, you can't toggle on the remote microphone, the live listen mode, but if you go into your app itself and you toggle it on, so we click on remote microphone, we are enabling that. So it is enabled. Let's go back into Oticon Companion. So live listen is enabled on the actual phone itself. And so when I scroll over here, you can see that we have remote microphone enabled. Now I can toggle it off, I just can't toggle it on. So I'm gonna go ahead and toggle it off. There we go, it is toggled off. And so you can see here that we are no longer streaming from the app. But really nice feature to be able to do this right from your wrist with an iPhone, which is, again, is something that you cannot do with an Android phone. Now, something that I didn't really show you when I initially paired the hearing aids up with the phone is that you don't even technically have to go into the app when you're using an iPhone. You can hit the triple click menu. So if you take your little button over here on the side, click it 3 times, it opens up your hearing aid feature here where you don't even have to go into the app. You can just do it right from the phone. You can see you have your volume for the left and the right ears. You have your different presets that you can tap on that and switch to whatever program that you want to. You can switch your microphone input. I think this is a really cool feature again with an iPhone, which is right now we have the mic input set to off, meaning that when you're on a call, you're using the microphone of your phone to pick up your voice. And then you're able to stream the audio directly into the hearing aids to hear the person on the other end of the line. If you switch the mic input to on, it switches it to where now your hearing aid microphones are picking up your voice and sending it to the person on the other end of the line. Sometimes that works out great if you're in a quiet environment. Sometimes it's not so great if you're in a really noisy environment. If you're in a really noisy environment, you can switch those microphones to off, talk into the phone so they can hear you okay, and then either way, you're gonna hear them fine because their voices stream directly into your hearing aids. And there you go. That is a full detailed tutorial of using the Oticon Companion App with either an Android device or an Apple device. As always, if you have any questions, let me know down in the comment section below. If you'd like to check out other videos on my channel, other tutorials about hearing aids and other hearing aid features, make sure that you subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you next time.